there's so much content to learn. And I get a bit overwhelmed sometimes because I'm like, I want to learn about chatbots, but then I want to learn how to deploy OpenAI in Azure, but then I want to learn how I want to improve my SQL, but then Rick the Groot's posting all this Power Query stuff that I don't understand. I need to understand Power Query. And it's like there's so much data, and the thing, we're never going to learn it all, right? There's no one person knows everything about data, so it's just about trying to find that niche that you enjoy and just smash through that niche until you're competent.
Monica here. Welcome to the Data Podcast for Nerds, where we get to talk to amazing professionals and ask them all about how they're using data to solve the world's problems. We're highlighting all kinds of amazing skills that data professionals use in real life. And of course, we always include some fun bits because we're all nerds here and we love to have fun. So today with us, we have Richard Nero. How are you doing today, Richard?
I'm very good. Thanks for having me, Monica. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you for coming on the show. So we usually start out by asking people's origin stories. So if you could please tell us about your background and how you got to where you are today in your career.
Origin story. So I grew up in Wimbledon, very suburban, very vanilla area. And I was lucky enough to have very stable home, and my mom was a maths teacher, so there was always loads of maths puzzles in the house. We always had a computer in the house. From the age of about, I guess, maybe 6 or 7, we had a computer in the house. And then I remember 8 years old looking over my mom's shoulder, and she was creating graphs in Excel, and this was like 1991. Maybe, and so this is like before the snares, before the master system, and I was like, wow, you can create graphics, you can type in numbers, and like stuff moves on the screen. This is insane. And so my love for Excel was just captivated from that moment onwards. And I think the very next week or the several weeks later, I created a graph of everybody in my class, like looks, personality, strength. I got into I did get myself into a little bit of trouble. It was great when all the boys had it, but then Natalie found that she was personality 7 and she wasn't very happy. But aside from my initial foray into charting, so that's how I initially started to get into graphs and charts. And then I tried to go down like the accounting route, so like finance systems. And I was always really good with Excel. So from a young age, I would play with Excel. I would sit in there and just do crazy formulas and stuff. And I just went into finance, slowly etching my way up the career ladder. And then when I went to university, as what they call mature student. I was 21, but it was the first year you can go as an adult where you don't need A levels, because I messed up my A levels, to be quite honest. I didn't do very well. And so I went to university. I studied computer science because I realized I was very good with computers. And I'd go to friends' houses and their computers would be full of viruses and running slow, and I'd like defrag their hard drive and like install this antivirus. And I was like, I'm actually quite good at computers. So I went to university. So I smashed through university, 3 years. And then when I came out of university, everyone saw me as this grad, and I'd been working in finance for like, I don't know, for 3 or 4 years before that, but everyone just saw me as this grad with no experience. And then the credit crunch hit, and then it was like, I'm broke. I was working in Frankie's and Benny's, which is an Italian style trashy restaurant. I'm working in the kitchen, like cooking food, and then day 1 I got demoted to a dishwasher, and I was still grateful I had a job. And I remember around that time my son was born, my first child was born, and I remember thinking like, I need to do something about this. Like I need to up my game. And I went on Facebook, and I think it was 2009, and I said, I'm sick and tired of this rubbish salary. I'm going to qualify as an accountant. I'm going to teach myself VBA. I'm going to teach myself Python. And now I'm a qualified accountant. I can code VBA. I can code Python. And I've got a lot more opportunities, and I've carved out a better life for myself through learning about computer science and data and all that sort of stuff.
That's amazing. So did you use Facebook for job hunting, or that was just like your rant platform?
That was my rant platform. When I go back and look at my Facebook status, it's cringe. Because, you know, it was like, Richard is, and it's like, Richard's annoyed, Richard's happy, Richard's excited. And like, some of the stuff I used to put on there, it's like, oh God, it's so cringy. But no, I didn't really use it as a job hunting platform. It's more of a rant.
Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. And you have you're a CPA then?
I think that's what you call it in the States, right? I'm a qualified accountant, so yeah.
Okay, it's something different named. I was not aware of that. So yes, here it's CPA. I'm technically also a CPA, but found accounting to be boring very quickly and then moved into data and auditing.
Yeah, accounting is boring. I remember when I did my accounting lectures, I was like falling asleep in the lectures, literally, because I'd work in the city until like 5:30, and then had lessons till 6 till 9, and I was shattered. I would just sleep through a lot of the lectures because it wasn't very engaging. I still work in a lot of stuff. I still do is in finance, but it's like finance change and finance systems rather than like the detailed intricacies of preparing a balance sheet or like depreciation schedules and journal prep. That stuff comes in play, but that's not the stuff I get excited about. I'm more into like the data and the systems and the automation.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of transferable skills there with accounting that helps you out.
For sure.
Yeah. So what do you do now? What's your current title, roles, and responsibilities?
What do I do right now? So I run a finance systems consultancy. And so most of the work, it's me going into big companies like S&P 500, FTSE 100, and we're delivering large-scale finance systems change. So like the OneStreams, the SAPs, D365, that sort of stuff. But then we also do a lot of like Excel reporting using Power Automate, using Power Query, doing SharePoint integrations, Teams. And so one part is like large scale financial systems change. And the other part is like Microsoft kind of office automation through like Power Apps and Power Platform kind of tech.
Okay. So what kind of projects, data projects, do you typically work on?
It's varied. It's varied. So sometimes it could be like working on an implementation of a system. So like I did a fairly big project for Brompton, which is like the biggest bicycle manufacturer over here. Do you have those foldy bikes? Those Brompton, the ones that fold?
I don't know, but that sounds amazing. I'm gonna have to look it up now.
Yeah, Brompton. So they were dying pre-COVID. COVID hit, and everyone was cycling around. No one wanted to be on public transport, and so they boomed, and they got a huge brand both here and abroad. So like in Asia, they're really popular. And so I joined to help them with a data migration. So it was all about pulling data out of the old finance system and then adding new world terminology, structuring it in a way that we can then push into the new system. And so when we did that piece of work, it was a success. But then, okay, Richie, you've learned all about this new system now, how to push data in. Maybe you'd like to stay on. And then I was working all sorts of like AP, AR projects, and it was a lot of fun because the head of finance there, George Hawks Dawson, he was like, do you write Python, Richard? I was like, yeah. And we were trying to connect to this platform called Go Cardless. And I was tired of going onto Go Cardless platform and downloading data and then copy pasting it into Excel. And he was like, why don't you just write to the API? And I was like, I've never done that before. I can code Python. So I taught myself Python lockdown 1, and then I was teaching Python to kids on Zoom in lockdown 2. But that's another story. But so I started scripting to the API, and so we pulled the data from Go Cardless. I was like, wow, you can just type some code and pull data out. And then like, hold on, if we pull the data out, we can put it into SQL. Okay, so now we don't have to copy and paste reports anymore. We just pull that data out, and now it's in SQL. And once it's in SQL, we can compare the data that's in Go Cardless, which is a direct debit payment platform, compare it to what's in our ERP. And then when we're creating these payment files that have to be loaded into Go Cardless, we can do all the logic in SQL, and it drops out in Excel through Power Query. So it's like completely, that the preparation is completely automated, so that someone in accounts receivable can click a button, and it's like pulling from the API, pulling into SQL, pulling from the ERP, doing some logic, and then spitting out a CSV ready to. So satisfying. I love that kind of stuff. It was so much fun. So much fun.
Those are your favorite projects to work on?
Yeah, the more complicated and more automated it is at the end of it. Because I hate seeing manual processes. I hate hearing about people copy pasting data. I was on a webinar. I can't remember what it was, but there was this lady from India, and she was saying her job was to consolidate 200 files every single day by copy pasting them. And then on that call, someone was talking about Power Query, and it was like, yeah, we can automate your whole job. we can automate your whole job in seconds. And I don't know what she did with that information. Hopefully she did automate her whole job. Hopefully she didn't tell her boss that she's automated her whole job. But it's funny because like people who work in data all the time, sometimes those people aren't data inclined. Mm-hmm. So they're dealing with data every single day. Like I'm working on this project with PepsiCo at the moment. And these people are in spreadsheets. They're salespeople, and they're in spreadsheets all the time, all day, every day. But they don't know how to best handle it. So like there's one guy who had 10,000 product IDs, and he had to filter 200. And he would just like click on the auto filter, like click, 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 click. And I showed him in Excel, like this thing called advanced filter. And you just give it the list, and it will push it in. And who's that? That's going to save about an hour and a half every day, every other day. And it's those little things, right? And so I'm really enjoying doing more and more training, because it's one thing to like automate a process and well done, we saved £1 million. You can get a high five through Zoom or a slap on the back in the boardroom. But when you actually save someone time, give them their time back, and that moment when you show them that thing and they're like, oh wow, how did you do that? Show me again. Wow. that's rewarding.
Yeah, definitely makes it all worth it for sure.
It does.
I want to talk more about the programs that you have where you're teaching kids. That sounds like really, really fun stuff. So we'll transition into our fun bits.
Yeah. So initially, I started to build this program teaching kids Excel, and I did 2 sorts of series of posts on LinkedIn. One was teaching VBA to kids, and one was just teaching Excel to kids. And after creating it, I actually had some good people contacted me through LinkedIn, like, oh, if you want to deploy it in South Africa, give me a call. If you want to deploy it in Canada, give me a call. But I was like, I kind of want to be there in person delivering this stuff. I don't want to be doing it via Zoom or anything. And I got in touch with a few schools in the UK, and one was like, yeah, I'd love to. And the thing is, I took him through my pixel art post on LinkedIn. Like, it's the same. I didn't take him through it on LinkedIn, but it was the same PDF. It was the same carousel. And he got halfway through. I was like, yeah, sign us up. We'll do it. We'll do it. And the thing is, going into it, I kind of had this foolish, naive view of me walking into the classroom and the kids just being enthralled by my Excel prowess. And then just being like captivated by the whole thing. But first lesson, walking, one kid's rolling around on the floor crying, another kid's on the floor crying over here, another kid brushes past another kid. So, what are you doing, bruv? What are you doing, man? Don't touch me. Who are you talking to? I'm like, these are 10-year-olds. And that's how they talk to each other. And like the teacher's like, okay, sit down. And the kid just walks out the classroom. Never came back. It's like, where did he go? He just walked out the classroom. So the behavior management thing is completely new to me. So when I'm teaching adults, I just say, okay, guys, we're gonna carry on with this, and everyone just gets on with it. But with the kids, they're just having their own little chats, and there's this thing that you have to do. And they copy the clap back, they copy the clap back, and it kind of forces. But I can never remember I can never remember the rhythm of the clap, which was just wrong when I just did that. But it is really rewarding. It's really rewarding, like showing a kid how to autofill a formula, click, and it drags it down. I did it a few times today, and they're like, oh, wow. Showing them how to create graphs and charts, they're blown away. And like to show them the benefit, we say, okay, look, we've got a shopping list. We've got these different things, and we need to add them up. Oh, actually, no, we want 4 of those now, and the price has changed. So on the spreadsheet, we just changed the price, we changed the quantity, but then on the hand, we have another handwritten one on an A0 piece of paper, and it's like, oh, you have to cross it out, and it gets messy, and oh, the spreadsheet's still nice and clean. Oh, and now if you wanted to graph that, and they can start to say, oh wow, this is so much quicker, this is automated. And they love being there, right? You can see their little faces, like when they come in, it's like the laptops are all shut, and they're like, oh, they really want to open the laptop. So like this when they really want to open it. And then sometimes when I'm talking and delivering the learning, I have to be like, hey, everyone shut their laptop. And today there was a kid who I had to shut the laptop, and as I was shutting it, they were like trying to get the last little bit, like thing. They were like they trying to see it a little bit more. And there's this one kid, I can't say his name for obvious reasons, but let's just call him Andrew, and he just flies through my lessons, absolutely flies through the content. And I was saying to one of the teachers that, oh, I've noticed Andrew's doing really well, and he was like, do you know what, he struggles in every other subject, like maths, English, he struggles in every other subject. So to see him flying in this, it's actually really good, and the school's trying to celebrate it. And so he has ADHD, so he can find it really hard to concentrate, and the class has lots going on. But when he's in the spreadsheet, he's in hyperfocus mode, and he's just like, just getting through it. And so when he gets through it, so I finished now, I was like, oh, brilliant. Well, you finished all the content, you can help some of the other kids. And you can see the other kids' faces like, oh, Mr. Nero, I'm stuck. Can you help? Speak to Andrew. And they're like, Andrew's going to help? Really? And so suddenly there's a shift in the dynamic where someone who's got a reputation for being a bit slower is now one of those greater depth children and suddenly commands a little bit more respect. And so to be able to enable that it's very rewarding. And I mean, a friend of mine who's a head teacher was like, when you deliver these things, make sure you get loads of photos. But you can't just walk around a school taking photos, right? So we've had to apply for permission from parents, and that was really slow to come through. So I've been doing it for 6 weeks now. I've come to the end of the program, and I only started taking photos today. But the photos I've got are amazing. You got all these kids, they're holding the laptop up, and they got a pie chart, and they're like, Another kid, he's like, look at they're all like line charts and bar charts and holding it up. And this one child it's like, can you talk through what you've done? It's like, yeah, I've done this formula and it's great because I can click this button and it just fills it out. It's so rewarding. And if I can get one Excel financial modeler out of that, if I can get one data analyst, great. But if not, even if it just gives them the ability to, like, if they're being a builder and they can keep track of all their different materials, or if they're going into catering and they got a big event and they want to work out how much they need to buy, how much gallons of milk or eggs or something, just to make their lives a bit easier, then yeah, that'd be fantastic.
Absolutely. So were they working on like a final project and then they presented that to the class?
No, so what we did, we touched on various things. Like first we did the pixel art, and then just like getting familiar with it in the spreadsheet, and then we started to do entering data, and then it was formulas, and then it was charts, and then them using formulas to create charts, and the last lesson was just consolidating all that learning. So rather than I did actually create some content to take them through pivot tables, but I was recommended to like actually go through everything from the last 5 weeks and consolidate it. So it just cements that understanding. So we just did some more graphs and formulas, but they enjoyed it. And there's one kid, so one of the kids that was on the floor crying when I had my first session was crying on the last session. He was like, is this going to be the last time I see you, Mr. Nero? Is this going to be the last lesson we have on Google Sheets? And he started to cry, and he was like, teacher was like, come, we have to leave. And he's like, I don't want to leave. And I was like, oh, how sweet is that? And I was like, you can use Google Sheets in your own time. And I showed the kids that if you're on a computer, type in sheets.new, and they were like, oh wow, and they were all doing sheets.new and creating a new sheet. So yeah, it's super rewarding.
That's amazing. What was the favorite lesson?
For me or for them?
Both.
One of the first lessons that we did is to get them doing keyboard skills. We put them on this online game where it says, okay, you got to press this character, then press this character. Like, it's a concept called the home keys. I don't know if you know this touch typing concept, the home key. Yeah. So basically, we taught them the home keys, and then they had to like press JK, 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 ASDFN. And some of them were just like, I'm on level 10. I'm on level 25. And these kids were just shouting out what level they were getting through, and they were really going for it. And then every lesson since, are we doing that keyboard typing game again, sir? Are we doing that? No, we're not. That was so I think that was their favorite lesson. For me, it's the graphs and the charts. That when they put their data in and they can just go insert chart every single time, they're just like, wow. And you know, it comes back to when I was 8 years old and I saw that wow moment as well. So I can appreciate, and it's nice for me to be there for. I did that in this training. I covered. We worked with 60 children, and so I got to see that wow face 60 times. And so yeah, I really enjoyed it.
That is amazing. Very rewarding experience.
Super rewarding.
So you're obviously really heavy into learning, teaching others, and one question that I have is, how do you yourself learn new things?
How do I learn new things? YouTube is great. I was in a chatbot hole a few weeks ago. I decided that I wanted to become a chatbot engineer. So I just studied chatbot creation hard for like a month, and then started offering to build chatbots for everyone I know who's got a website. And I just it's basically sitting on YouTube and then taking what you've watched on YouTube and doing it in the real world. But then there's loads of other learning platforms out there. So like how I learned Python was through codewars.com. I love Code Wars. Do you use Code Wars?
I
Or
have many years ago.
Okay, so you'll probably be on that level now. But yeah, Code Wars, so much fun. So like you have a problem and you tinker away, you solve it, and like I would do these like 50-line monsters, right? And then I'd submit it into Code Wars, and then obviously like you see all the different answers that the community has provided, and they get ranked, and then you see, oh, that can be done in one line. There's some like clever list comprehension, and you could do my 50-line whopper can be done done in one line. So you learn how to do it, and then you learn the most efficient way of doing it. Mm-hmm. So Code Wars is great. I'm a big fan of online learning, like Code Academy. So I taught myself SQL many years ago, and I did a little bit in uni, but it was never very good. And then going into that Brompton role, I got given keys to the city. They let me have access to the whole database pretty much. And I was like, okay, I've got all the access. I need to learn how to make use of this. So we had a Code Academy license, and I just smashed through. Like, I remember getting these Code Academy courses. They're like, this should take about 3 months to do it. 5 days, done. I just smashing through all this content, like, and then posting all the certificates on LinkedIn. Like, yeah, there's another one down. There's another one down. Yeah, so Code Academy, big fan of Code Wars, HackerRank, edX. I love edX. I did my first big Python course on there. It was Harvard X statistical programming with Python or something like that. Gosh, that was hard. That was probably the hardest online train. It started off really easy, right? And then boom, it just like I remember there was 2 projects. One of the projects was it gives you Fitbit data, and you've got to work out what activities people are doing. Like, are they playing basketball? Are they running? Are they playing cricket? And it's like, that's tough. And another one was they gave us GPS data on GPS and velocity data for migrating birds, and we had to work out where these birds are traveling, and then use matplotlib to track the path of these migrating birds. It's fascinating, but then it was tough. But I really enjoyed it. And so to answer your question, online platforms, YouTube, and LinkedIn. LinkedIn's great for that. There's a few people that I follow. Sometimes they post stuff and I'm like, that's so complicated. I don't even know what that means. Like Rick DeGroot, his stuff is just, and Brian Julius, they post some really complicated stuff. Owen Wilson as well. But other people post some more digestible things that I can actually get down with, like Oz de Soleil, like his challenges and stuff, and seeing how people solve those. And on the AI side, like Ruben Hassett, his stuff's really good to take like AI and ChatGPT stuff and make it more practical for the average business user. So yeah, and the thing is, there's so much content to learn. And I get a bit overwhelmed sometimes because I'm like, I want to learn about chatbots, but then I want to learn how to deploy OpenAI and Azure, but then I want to learn how I want to improve my SQL, but then Rick DeGroot's posting all this Power Query stuff that I don't understand. I need to understand Power Query. And it's like, there's so much data. And the thing, we're never going to learn it all, right? There's no one person knows everything about data. So it's just about trying to find that niche that you enjoy and just smash through that niche until you're competent.
Absolutely. Do you have any other final tips, tricks, words of encouragement for the listeners?
Final tips, tricks. I just guess be curious. Be curious. Don't be like when you're playing with data, don't be afraid of breaking anything. Be curious and find the leaders in your niche on LinkedIn, people like yourself, and just learn from them. Soak up as much information as you can. There's certain YouTube accounts that have just taught me so much, like CS Dojo, he's a coder, Mike Gervin, Excel is fun. That one YouTube channel, oh my gosh, has taught me so much about, and whenever I deliver Excel training, I say there's no need for me to be here, why that channel still exists on YouTube. Like that one channel has just got so much content, and he delivers it in such a great way. Yeah, be curious and always stay learning. Don't think that you get to a certain level of competency and that's it, because the world's constantly adapting, the world's constantly moving, and especially now with ChatGPT and these LLMs that can code better than a lot of people, those strategic aspects and those communication aspects, those kind of skills are going to be a lot more valuable, because ChatGPT can write a great piece of Python code or a great piece of like some SQL scripts, but it can't walk into the boardroom and analyze the political situation in the room with the political situation going on in the country and influence and persuade stakeholders, right? But AI is not going to replace you. Someone using AI is going to probably replace you.
Yes, great quote. Same thing with automation too, right? With that woman you spoke about earlier and automating her whole job, that doesn't mean that she's going to lose that job. She just now has more time to work on other more amazing things.
Yeah, you can, once you've automated your job, well, aspects of it, you have time to really analyze that data rather than just serving up a report. You can now intertwine a compelling narrative through that data, and then you can think about how you can complement it or merge it with other data sets, and then you can spend time communicating or strategizing with other parts of the business, because there's always more work to do, right?
Yep. Yeah, that's real. There is always more work to do, for sure.
Any job you have, I can't remember the law, I can't remember what it's called, but it's like any job you have, it will just fill with work. Even if like you start off having nothing to do, you'll just end up busying yourself with stuff. So if you automate half your job, you're just going to slowly fill it with some other stuff.
Yep. Anything else that you'd like to close out with?
Thank you, Monica, for having me here. I know you've had some legends on this show. I know you had some legends on your podcast. So, yeah, thank you for providing me the opportunity, and it's good to talk to fellow data nerds about data. So, yeah, thank you.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for coming on the show. If any of the folks listening have any questions for you, where can they find and or follow you?
LinkedIn is generally my place to hang out, but my DMs are pretty. I got 25 messages. I've been putting off checking my messages all day today. I need to set aside an hour and just smash through it. But generally, LinkedIn is the place to message me. My link, if you type in Richard Nero, I should probably come up.
Awesome. And I'll also provide a link in the description.
Amazing. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you again for coming on the show. And as always, folks, happy learning.